Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're back to work on the crispy Brutale. We just roughly put together the airbox for this Brutale, and boy, does it have a lot of pieces. So first, let's slide this out of here. The throttle bodies. Here we have your standard 1090R Brutale throttle body, and here is a Brutale throttle body for a RR or RS. Now they look pretty darn close down to the throttle bodies themselves, but the biggest difference obviously is the controller, which sits in the middle. I purchased this throttle body thinking it would work, but obviously it won't because there's only one connector for the throttle body when mine has one down here and one at the top. But no worries, we'll be able to get a nice fuel line, a temp sensor, and some injectors off of this throttle body. Now, like the fans from the last video, which were from a F4RR, this throttle body is from an F4RR, and it works perfectly with my Brutale 1000RR. Now, if we flip this airbox over, my first issue, velocity stacks. Here I have three different types of velocity stacks. These are from the F4RR, these are the original Brutale velocity stacks, and these are 1090R Brutale velocity stacks. Now, both of the ones I purchased for the Brutale do not work. As you can see, they are a different style that slips into the throttle bodies, and these ones are just incorrect altogether. The velocity stacks that came on my burnt bike actually are two different sizes, these small ones for the outside and these tall ones for the inside throttle bodies. So it looks like I'm gonna need to order a brand new set of these from MV Agusta. Now next is this slider piece, which I believe controls torque and horsepower performance to the engine by this movement up and down. If you asked me the science behind it, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Now this piece is off an old F4RR. It does work, but it has this piece, which I'm not sure what it is, but it must control these sliders. Now, like you saw, it had a hole for this piece on this old airbox that it came with, but my Brutale airbox does not have that hole, so it does not utilize this at all. So I'm thinking I might have the wrong slider in here. Moving up to the fuel rail, these look all fine. This looks exactly the same as my bike. Fuel line running to the throttle bodies, which run to all the injectors down here on the throttle body. As you can tell, a lot of pieces on this thing. And we're still waiting for the top airbox cover, which I ordered in July of last year. Yeah, it's been that long. But I think I know why it's taken so long. It's made out of carbon. Now I've got some research to do and parts to order, but let's slap these handlebars together with the parts that we have so far. it starting to look like a motorcycle. We installed some beautiful electronics along with the throttle on the right side, and we installed all the buttons on the left side. Just waiting for a OEM grip on the left side. But this thing is so cool. It has launch control and cruise control. Can't wait to test those out. We also cracked open some CNC Racing parts for the handlebars, which were these bar ends that we jimmy rigged up to fit with the grips. Since I'm not sure on the mirror setup, I had to make sure that there was a gap between the throttle and the end bar so that it wouldn't stick the throttle. And then I realized, oh, I could have just taken the old ones out and used those because these are in perfect condition. I was under the impression that nothing was reusable on these. I love seeing those handlebars get put together along with all the cool electronics. But now the time has come for the package. I clean this off real quick. All right. Now the photo you're seeing on screen right now is from the previous owner and his friend. So I got in contact with the previous owner. His friend Julian reached out to me over email and sent me some photos of when the Brutale burnt down. The cause of the crash and burn down of the bike is unknown, but the speculation is the rear carbon wheel failed on the previous owner. Now, Julian is the previous owner's friend, and he sent me a lot of these photos because he was riding with the previous owner when this happened. Now, the gentleman you can see in this photo holding the wheel is Brian, who is the original owner of this beautiful Brutale. Brian let me know that this bike only has 4,000 miles on it. It's number 19 of 150 ever produced, and that the unfortunate accident on this Brutale happened on May 28th, 2023. So it has been about a year. But anyway, that brings me back to this box because this box right here is from Brian, the previous owner. But now I am very excited to open this thing up. Grab the old blade. Oh, snap. What is this? Very nicely packaged. Right now for the big box. What? That is sick. Okay, so we have this beautiful box, which I assume comes with the Brutale when you purchase it. We also have got this package. What should we start with? The small one. Just by turning it over, it looks like it is an ECU. It sure is. It is an ECU. Man, I wonder if this is the original factory ECU and he had the race ECU on the bike. I'm gonna message him, see if that's the case. But that is amazing. Thank you, Brian, for this. Oh yeah, it does say stock on it. Look at that. So this is the stock ECU, not the race ECU. Unfortunately, I have a surprise over there for you guys. But this is still amazing. Thank you, Brian. Okay, and now for this bad boy. How do you even open this? Oh, it's got hinges. No way. Let's open it up. We've got a warranty booklet with, oh, probably shouldn't show you the back of that. Okay, so this code card is if for some reason the keys ever get lost or something. There's two codes where my thumbs are, but that is pretty sweet. I have never seen one of these because I've never bought an Italian bike brand new before. Wait a minute, did you guys see that? No way, it's the keys. And we got a spare key as well. Man, 2 keys, that is crazy. Man, this is amazing. Brian did buy this brand spanking new, and here is the dealer tag with the keys. Okay, we gotta try this out in our ignition. The only thing that survived. I'm still trying to save this, by the way, guys. On, off, boom. So 2 keys along with this little booklet. Nothing inside there, must be for like maintenance schedule or something. But then we've got an owner's manual. Dang, everything you could possibly need. Dimensions, torque settings, how to use the whole bike. Wow. Now, fun fact for you guys, every single owner's manual for an MV Agusta is actually online. MV has them posted on their website. You can literally download an owner's manual for free on their website. Now, what you cannot find on MV's website is like an engine workshop manual, which has a ton more information. So this is pretty sweet to have since it is for the Nürburgring edition. Now we have a booklet underneath that with some stickers and a card. Wow, beautiful. You think this is worth a spot on the toolbox? Anything under here? Nope. And then this little box, that is sweet. Even the hinge is nice on this sucker. This must be like for a spare key or something, but we have this in it, which is, oh, 4 GB MV Agusta hard drive. That's pretty cool. Underneath that that's where the spare key would go. This box is pretty cool. I've never actually held one of these in person. I've only seen them online. Besides all this stuff, this box is sweet. This is an owner's box that you get when you buy a beautiful MV like this. Magnets on the wood finish and hinges on the backside. So massive thanks to Julian for reaching out to me and Brian for sending out these keys along with a bunch of other very special parts for this bike. Thank you guys. You guys have no idea how big of a game changer these keys are. Well, is it about time for me to crack open the wiring harness on this bike? I think so. All right, stay with me. This might be a little confusing. We installed our brand new Brutale 1000 R harness for the motorcycle and routed the whole thing in the frame the best I could remember from taking it apart. With a little common sense, it's pretty easy to figure out where everything goes. Like for instance, the starter ground wire right here going to the starter, then all the cables that run this direction are for rear modules. Like we have the data port connector there, we have the ABS module plug right here. Now I just realized one of the plugs is actually for the dash. That definitely doesn't belong in the rear. So this has to route up to the front. Then we got our tail light connector. And then moving up here, we have our ECU connectors, which sit kind of in an awkward spot, but there is both of them down there. And then we have our lower injector plugs. As you can see, they're even labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. They connect right at the bottom of the throttle bodies. Now something cool I would have never expected on this thing is these plugs have come pre-lubed with dielectric grease, I assume. That's something I have definitely never seen before. And some of these run down to the quick shifter, the sensors on the side of the engine. Yeah, you get it. Then we've got this top section for the coil packs. Once again, they're labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just got to figure out in the manual which one is 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have already made our very first connection. It's to the handlebar right here, which goes, I think, to this harness. And if I'm wrong, then it goes to this one. If I'm honest with you, it's going to be a lot of guessing. But one way to help reduce my guess time is use the old harness. Now, this might sound crazy because of its condition, but what I'm able to do is reference what plugs are going into certain things. For instance, I can tell that these plugs, which are this plug right here, are going into these fuse boxes. Right here on the stator, we have 5 wires going into a plug. So over here we go. Here's our stator connector. And essentially, we're just going to keep doing that over and over and over. Along with where the fuse box and the starter relay mounts on this bracket, because those two things then will mount on the side of the frame right here. Speaking of starter relays, we picked a brand new one up from Evolution Bike from Italy, and you can kind of tell that's what was here originally. Now, something cool that I don't think I mentioned on this harness, the previous owner had wired in heated grips on the handlebars. Here's like a knob. Maybe this is also for the lights that he had wired in on the front forks. Anyway, it's late here. We'll catch you guys tomorrow to continue the wiring. Well, this is like finding gold. As I was looking for parts online, I got curious to see if the airbox and the gas tank and the in-between space had survived the fire because a ton of modules were located there. Well, sure enough, the modules are intact and still usable. I'm not quite sure what this is. It says E-shock on the back. Might be for suspension, not too sure. But this gives us plenty of wiring to work with, and right here is our connector for this module. And the most important one out of the two modules back there is the electronic suspension module from Öhlins. As you can see, there is the Öhlins tag underneath the MV cover that is undamaged and still usable. We popped off the harness. All the pins are in fantastic shape. No damage to the physical module. Now, upon taking a look at my harness, I was like, where is this plug on the new harness that I got? And I was like, oh man, did I get the wrong harness? Well, I checked the part number, and as you can tell, this is the Nürburgring harness. Number 20 on the diagram is a special electronic harness for the electronic suspension and this module. But this is clutch because this stuff ain't cheap. This is exactly why you guys never see me throw away old parts until the end of a build. Also, I was incorrect about this top cover being carbon. At the price point of 600 English pounds, I thought this thing would be at least carbon. We have found some special parts on eBay that are on the way, but that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. See ya. All right, bonus content time. My buddy with the tow truck got the transit in the driveway. Now, let's get that timing cover off. Well, we're about an hour and a half down and we got the whole front tearing apart. Now we need to get the condenser and the radiator out of here. All 4 of these bolts right here were rusted out, so I couldn't unscrew them. So I had to chop off the top of the intake manifold, and then I had to grinder wheel those bolts right in half so I could finally lift this intake manifold right out. The most expensive oil change is the oil change you don't do.